Hi, this is David Unsworth, English editor of the Pan Am Post. Today we'll be speaking with real estate developer Michael Cobb, CEO of CEI Development, which provides financing to North American real estate buyers in Central America, and owns developments throughout Central America, particularly in Belize and Nicaragua. He is especially focused on creating high-quality, livable communities for North American retirees. Michael, thank you so much for being with us today.
David, nice to be with you. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
So, for our audience at the Pan Am Post, many people have probably considered at some point in their life investing in a retirement property, a vacation property. Obviously, probably the number one draw that we always consider is the cost of living down there is considerably cheaper, as well as the cost of land or real estate. Why don't you start out by telling us about how you got involved in real estate development, specifically in Central America, and why you think that the region is favorable for your typical North American or Canadian investor or retiree?
Okay, certainly. I probably went down like many people for my first time for vacation, just for fun, to check it out, see it, be there, have fun, and enjoy it. And what really struck me, this was 1993, I was 26 years old, and what really struck me was when I got to Ambergris Caye, Belize specifically, I said, wow, this is probably what Key West was like 30 years ago or something. I said, I wish I could have bought property in Key West 30 years ago, but I can't. I don't have a time machine. But like Ambergris Caye is a time machine of sorts, and so I bought a condo, and it did very, very well. And and what was amazing was we started to see, my business partner and I, we started to see opportunities to serve North American consumers with a very livable product, as you said, and high quality standards. Because one of the things we noticed was that if you were rich, if you had $500,000, $750,000, whatever it was, if you had big money, you could have anything you wanted. You could have the nicest product. You could do it in Belize. You could do it in the Cayman Islands. Do it in Key West, Florida, right, for $3 million or $5 million, whatever it was. But if you had $150,000 or $200,000, you really had to settle. And a lot of the things were just silly, stupid things. Like, this is crazy. I mean, like, we'd walk in to inspect collateral. So we started a mortgage company. Sorry, I'm jumping around, but we started a mortgage company because there was no mortgage money. And so, people coming down would have to either wire the money or the developer would have to finance the sale. Well, developers don't like to finance sales because it stalls our cash flow, right? So we started a mortgage company. And my role with the mortgage company my principal role was to go out and inspect collateral. And here's what we saw. We'd walk into a home or a condo that we were buying the paper from, because these were already originated loans. I mean, they were existing loans. And there'd be one outlet in the living room. There'd be two outlet strips with extension cords plugged into the outlet strips, and another outlet strip at each end of the extension cord. Right, right. Or David, nuts, man! You'd walk in, and there'd be door handles at 3 different heights throughout the condo or apartment, and you'd think to yourself, how do you get 3 different heights? And then we were actually watching some stuff get built. 3 different people, all different heights, came along and they held their elbow out at a right angle and drilled the hole.
Oh, no.
Yeah, right. Now, okay.
Well, having lived in Latin America for 8 years, I can actually believe that. But
you see it, and we just said all the fixes for that stuff is free. It costs no money to deliver a kitchen countertop at the right height, all the door handles, all the light switches turn on, up, and turn off, down.
You just need a legit general contractor.
Set a standard.
Supervise.
Right.
You need standards.
Standards, right. So we did. And we said, you know what? It doesn't cost any money to do that stuff. And so we started serving the middle class with affordable, familiar, standardized product in Belize, and then we expanded to Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, so we're in the whole region now. Anyway, long story to a short question, but yeah.
Now, a typical American or Canadian might say, I don't know too much about the legal system there, about the government, about stability. Now, in Belize, an advantage is that even though they use the dollar and they use the Belize dollar, but they're fixed at 2 to 1, so you've got quite a bit of stability there.
Right.
What about the legal and political situation in Nicaragua, where you do a lot of business.
Sure. Typically throughout the region, transactions, big dollar transactions, real estate, cars, TVs even, right, in many countries, transact in U.S. dollar, even if there's colones in Costa Rica or Cordobas in Nicaragua. The one exception, by the way, is Colombia. The Colombian peso, everything's priced in pesos, even homes, and they're in 100 million pesos or something. I mean, it's crazy numbers, but generally throughout the region, you'll find that things are priced in dollars for the bigger ticket items, and in Nicaragua that's true, and in Costa Rica that's true, because what generally happens is that because those are hard assets, right? They're tangible hard assets, that when there are big currency fluctuations, because they're priced in U.S. dollars, they don't swing so much because most of the consumers are buying them with dollars, right? Now, if the dollar takes a big swing, that certainly impacts, the currency and the availability of ownership at certain price points in these countries. But generally, the local currency swings don't really have much impact on real estate pricing, to be specific.
And you've got some left-leaning leaders such as Daniel Ortega.
Yep.
But you don't see nationalization or anything like that as a risk. It's protection of private property rights is guaranteed, you think, under the current regime, and it's not an issue.
I do believe so. Two things. One, you ask about stability in the other question, and one of the things that strong leaders, and Ortega is a strong leader. I mean, he's just, caudillo. It's a caudillo, politics, right? And strong leaders provide stability. They do. And I'm
true.
Not, and I'm not, right. And I'm not Nicaraguan. I don't vote. I'm not a citizen. I understand that I am a guest in Nicaragua, and
Sure.
so I act like a guest. I don't get involved in politics. I have no opinion in politics, and so I'm happy to share kind of in this vein a little bit about stability, right? Because I can share that without expounding on politics per se. But the reality as a foreign investor is that the government of Nicaragua wants foreign investment, and it treats foreign investors very well.
That's great.
Yeah, and it treats residents.
That's phenomenal.
It is, and it treats residents too. Like if somebody wants to be a retiree there to come and live as a resident, there are great incentive programs.
So the trend that kind of started in Panama and Costa Rica with American and Canadian investors buying up land, that is definitely continuing now in Nicaragua. Now, do you do any work in, say, San Juan del Sur? Or you're a bit north of there, right?
Yeah, we're north. We're directly west of Managua. I have friends and colleagues and competitors. I mean, we're kind of collegial in that sense. I mean, it's a small market, right? We all know each other. So San Juan del Sur is a wonderful place. It's again, I have lots of folks I know down there developing real estate. We're in the central coast on the Pacific. A little different. Grand Pacific is our project there, and we've been there a long time. And the one thing that's kind of interesting that we've seen is we've seen a lot of Nicaraguans who've decided to become owners with us because of the location, but also because we've delivered this concept of community. And David, this is really important. I mean, if somebody's looking at moving overseas, there are a couple things that are just fundamentally critical. And I'm going to say investment's one thing. That's a rational head decision, and that's a whole separate discussion. But if somebody is thinking lifestyle, that's a heart decision, right? That's how do I like it? How do I like the weather? Do I like the activities? Am I close enough to the supermarket or to an English-speaking church? I mean, these are questions that we don't even think about before we move many cases, and so one of the things that it's really critical is to try to do this self-analysis of what things are important to me, and then narrow your search of locations that would fit that,
Sure.
that qualification.
I was reading an interview with you on a real estate website earlier, and I thought it was interesting. You said someone was asking you about the feel of the communities that you develop, and you said, Belize would kind of be like Jimmy Buffett music, and Nicaragua would kind of be like country music.
Yeah.
And you reference, there's kind of that, kind of almost the cowboy culture in Nicaragua, the ranching culture.
Exactly.
I thought that's what is the most interesting aspect of the work you do, is that you need, someone has to be adventurous to consider retiring down there or investing down there to begin with, but they do need to feel at home. They do need a sense of community. They need to to be concerned about these things: community, church, entertainment, businesses,
friends,
tennis, golf, whatever it is, fishing,
right?
Friends, neighbors.
Friends and neighbors, and the one developer who got it right here in the United States, first one to get it right, was Del Webb with the Sun City product. Because what he understood was how to create community organically, right? You give people the places, you give them the clubhouse, the swimming pool, the activities, whatever those are, and you encourage people to come and be a part of that. Well, in proximity with people, you'll make friends and find common things to talk about and do. And that's the nucleus of real, true community, which is, friendships and relationships that add meaning to life, add the meaning to life, really, I think, certainly from a social standpoint.
So we've talked a little bit about the government in Nicaragua. Probably your typical client or investor doesn't know too much about the government in Belize. What is the situation with the government in Belize? It used to be part of the Commonwealth nations, right?
Yep.
It's now
it was British Honduras until 1981, and then became Belize.
Yes.
And it's a parliamentary democracy. Probably the closest government in the world would be Canadian. So they have a prime minister. The Queen is the head of state, but it's a parliamentary democracy. Based on the Canadian system mostly. It's a great
and strong protection of property rights.
Very stable.
Low taxation.
Correct. Yep. Great legal system. Common law, which we're very familiar with in the U.S. and Canada. So it's comfortable, it's familiar, and it's in English, so it makes it. But let me just throw this last little tip, but one important tip that even when things are common law and in English and they feel comfortable, that's actually maybe the most dangerous place for a North American consumer to be, because we're just like, we're on autopilot.
Your guards are almost down.
Right. Take the autopilot off. I mean, we don't know what we don't know, and so the English, the common law, the familiarity lulls us into this false sense of security. When we are in a foreign country buying real estate, we are in a foreign country buying real estate. Yeah. We always need to keep that front and center, and due diligence is the key. How do we do the due diligence? How do we scratch at the surface of what we don't know so that we can explore those areas deeper? It's critically important.
Now, have you ever looked into, I know that you have looked into Ecuador.
Yep.
You're developing a project right there. Now, is that in Cuenca?
Wow, yeah, good. You do your research, Dave.
I do.
You do your research, man.
I don't just randomly get in touch with people.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
You don't know. Good.
Well, I was just down in Ecuador, actually, a couple of times.
Where were you?
I was just in Quito because I was covering the presidential election there.
Okay, yeah.
But
so we are looking outside of Cuenca to answer your question, and for me, I love Cuenca as a city, old colonial city. Two symphonies, right?
Wow.
And great restaurants, great culture, great, wonderful, livable, walkable city.
Low cost of living. Very low cost of living.
And an expat population of about 5,000 out of 500,000. So 1%. It's not a big percentage, but it's 5,000 expats. Yeah. There's a peer group that can, at least get you in the door. What I find is that the expat peer group's a great kind of entree. Then you can venture out and find your own networks of other expats or locals. But that first landing, the expat community is a great place to land, kind of get your feet under you, and then go explore.
By all means.
Yeah.
And have you ever looked into Colombia? Santa Marta, or even going way out there, the Pacific Coast, which has historically had incredible perils, but has incredible opportunities as well. The government is investing very heavily in highways to connect the Pacific Coast to Medellin and to Bogota.
That is correct. I really like Colombia, and I know you live in Colombia. Yep. Colombia is actually, to me, it's a real sleeper of a country because so many people have just written it off because of Pablo Escobar, and it's just a misperception. Colombia is a wonderful, largely safe country. Just like, people say, is the United States safe? Well, where are you in the U.S.? Some places yes, some places no, right? Colombia, the same thing. So we have looked at Colombia. We're going to continue to look at Colombia, but we don't know anything there yet. But yet would be the key word in that one,
sure.
David.
I'm just based on, kind of running the numbers and what I've been seeing, the area south of Santa Marta on the coast there looks like so in between Barranquilla and to the west and Santa Marta to the north, looks like some great real estate and cheap.
And
cheap
very,
and relatively safe, and there's a good highway system already in place. You've got 3 major airports there on the coast: Santa Marta, Barranquilla, Cartagena. And
an interesting microclimate, especially in Santa Marta. It's dry. It's very dry, almost desert actually. I think I'm not sure technically, but very, very dry. And that
almost like a California.
Almost like a California. And so we look at those kinds of things and we say, wow, wouldn't that be a neat geography? And again, we listen to the consumer. Is there a consumer demand for that? And right now the answer is not really, because Colombia is still kind of perceived as something what it's not. But as that changes and we start to hear the customer demand, we'll respond and provide. See, I'm in the business of serving a consumer with what they want. That's our
serving
business
a need
model.
That is already there.
That's there, and anticipating the need, but not predicting. Right.
By all means.
We'll be on the front edge, but not the bleeding edge of a curve. And so, but Colombia is coming. I do think Colombia is coming. It will grow and become more and more and more of a U.S. Canadian expat.
It's gone from kind of a out there backpacker destination to almost almost kind of high end tourism.
Yes.
Especially in a place like Cartagena or even in Medellin as well.
Exactly.
So if a potential investor would like to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that? Through the ECI.
Yeah, ECI website. mcobb at ecidevelopment.com comes right to me. I don't always answer my emails the same day, but I'm on the road, but as quickly as I can get back to people, I do. And the one thing, David, that they should absolutely request without fail is our consumer resource guide. It's not a sales document. It's not about our company. It's 15 questions that people should ask when they buy property overseas to start to understand the due diligence process. We got some great articles in there about the region, and then we've got this fun quiz right on page 3. Are you ready to live overseas? And it's, 15, 20 questions. I can't remember. They're the best questions I have ever seen in 20 questions or whatever to discern if living overseas would be right for you. It's a great quiz. It's fast. It's easy. And it's in the Consumer Resource Guide. Oh, it is. And it's a lot of fun.
We've been here at Freedom Fest in Las Vegas, the Paris Hotel and Casino. And we've been speaking with Michael Cobb, a real estate developer in Central America. Michael, thank you so much for being with us today.
David, thanks for having me.